Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two Canadian blended Canadian whiskeys, both introduced by Seagrams, but then both sold to the Sazerac Company in 1989. So the first is James Foxe. The label hasn't changed since 1975, essentially. Very slight modification if you look at the original label, but essentially no changes. No age statement. Canadian whiskey with natural flavors. I'm reading it slow because it's hard to see it, and the dawn has not broken yet. I bought this bottle at Broadway Liquors. It was $8.99. This liter bottle, Broadway Liquors. Cheap, huh? I got to go back over there because they got an American blended whiskey that I've never heard of, except I've only seen it there, and it's $8.99 for a liter, and I want to get it before it's gone. I'm curious to find out about that. Any kind of weird brand I never heard of, I want to get it. And it's got like these weird directional points on it on the label. It's kind of unusual. It is very unusual. Okay, the competitor is the imported. They're both imported. Mellow Canadian Sippin' Whiskey, Seagram's Canadian Hunter. And you can tell it's an old label. Gold is oxidized. Seagram's Canadian Hunter, aged 3 years, introduced in 1984 by Seagram's, but sold to Sazerac Company just 5 years later, 1989, along with James Foxe, Benchmark Bourbon, Eagle Rare, 10-year age small batch whiskey, bourbon whiskey, and other products. Fireball is another one. So it's a strange situation. In this, Seagram's Canadian Hunter was replaced by Canadian Hunter. Different taste, different recipe, no age statement, different bottle shape and label. Okay. So you can still get Seagram's Canadian Hunter if you go to International Market in Metairie, Louisiana. I don't know if you can get it anywhere else, but they've got old bottles there. $8.99. True story. Beerhound says, hello, Ronald. Sending good vibes from Orange County, California. Well, same back to you. Thanks for watching. We had a good Wild Card Wednesday last night. Everything was good. It was kind of chaotic because you get all those people. We had like 8 people or 9. I can't remember. 8. And you got to rotate people in and out. One guy left, though, before we could get to his beer presentation. And he was saying, why'd you skip me? Well, we never skip anybody on purpose, but things get like a madhouse. You know, like James P. Madonna said, it's similar to running a switchboard. Yes, I got to deal with comments, then make sure everybody gets to go and all these things. So, but then he just abruptly quit. And I said, now we're going to go. And then he was off the group. I couldn't understand where he was. So, but if that guy still has that beer, I'll do a special follow-up video so he can present it. It'd just be him and myself. And then I can't skip him because he'd be the only one. Good morning, Ryan, says Johnny Nilly. Good morning to Johnny Nilly. I watched his What Ails You video. The only one I had was the Golden Monkey. Also, I didn't realize that a Dunkel lager could be an ale, but I get confused sometimes. I'm very easily confused. You are one hell of a reviewer, I must say. I guess you're talking about John and Neely. You go to New Orleans a lot, says Tip. Yeah. A few times a month. I mean, my house is only 29 miles from the Superdome, and that's inside of New Orleans, so I'm only 25 miles from the city limits, so... I mean, you know, it's if you don't hit. I went to the Saints game once. True story. I didn't hit any traffic because I just parked in a good spot. Everybody else was like caught up in traffic. I went to my car. I think that's when I had the Mustang, and I got on the highway and drove home. And I got home in 30 minutes, literally. And I was not flying. True story. From getting in my car after the Saints game to pulling in this driveway was exactly 30 minutes. I say, well, that ain't going to ever happen again. going 29 miles in 30 minutes in a city, you know, through city driving to a large extent. And guess what? It never did happen again. I miss your album reviews. I know I need to do another one. I mean, I don't need to, but I ought to. I can't think of what to do. And then they got all these copyright problems. Like, I tried to do Fleetwood Mac repeatedly and they keep getting muted. Like, I don't understand that band. It's people are reviewing your albums and they're giving them high scores, but you're going to mute everything. It doesn't make sense because they could take over the copyright of the video and make all the money from it. You understand? I don't have the copyright. I don't own Fleetwood Mac music. That's all they'll do. Like if I do Judas Priest, whatever, they'll just send me an email saying, okay, a third party's taking over the copyright because they own it. Well, I don't care. They can make the money off of it. It doesn't make any difference to me. I'm not doing it for money. I'm just doing it for fun. But then Fleetwood Mac, that band is so greedy, you know, and you say, no, it's the record company, it's Warner Brothers. It's not Warner Brothers because I've done other Warner Brothers groups and they don't do that. It's just like they set up this thing where they don't want anybody doing nothing. I don't care. So do I ever see snakes in my yard? Huh. You better believe I did. Okay. Water moccasins 3 times. It's all kind of garter snakes. Oh yeah. A big long snake was in the yard this summer. I don't know. It was kind of dark gray and skinny. And it kept lifting its head up, looking at it. It was hanging around that azalea bush. I saw it twice, and that thing was fast. I don't think it was a poisonous snake, but before I could get my camera, it left, so I couldn't take a photo. I was going to ask people, what kind of snake is this? I saw like a snake on a chair one time on the porch. Somebody said it looked like a corn snake. I said, yeah, I think so. So, yeah, lots of snakes. I saw a rabbit this morning hopping around on the driveway. There's a gold. And there's amber. Okay, so we can see that the appearance is not the same. The Seagram's 3-year aged Canadian Hunter is pale gold. I don't think they add any color. The James Foxe has no age statement. I don't know how old it is. I'm sure it's probably just 3 years because that's the minimum. And come on, that thing is so cheap. It's like $14.99. Yeah, something like that. $14.99 at a Total Wine and More. They got it over there. James Foxe. They also sell it at here and there. They sell it around. It's not everywhere. Like if you go to Walmart, they don't have it. It's not sold in this town where I live, Western New Orleans. They don't sell it, but it's around. I mean, so if Total Wine has it, you know, a lot of other people in the United States are going to have it. So let's see. Your album reviews brought me back. Yeah, I mean, I like doing it, but if I do an hour and then I check back 20 minutes later and it's been muted, well, what's the point? I mean, you know, Eric should have never joined. He asked in the chat what was the topic, and I responded, any ale will do, Eric. And he proceeded to join with the lager. No respect for the show. It's all about him. Yeah, I would never show up to a theme show with the wrong beer. I just wouldn't do it. I'd be so embarrassed. I mean, Eric can do what he wants, you know, it's fine. But Hank Williams Sr., I don't know much about him. I know he wrote that song, Crawfish Pie, Filet Gumbo, and all that. That was a cool song. He probably traveled in Louisiana a lot back in his days, and he probably had a lot of experience with the Cajun culture just from traveling. You know, he probably did shows in Abbeville. He probably did shows in Lafayette. Probably did shows in Opelousas. He probably did shows in Lake Charles. So he probably had experience with that. Yeah, like they're doing a coffee porter Monday night. Multi Monday. Now, if I don't get a coffee porter, I ain't showing up. Because I'm not going to, it's not the theme. I'm not, and I was kidding with, you know, Bumpy Road last night. I said, well, what if I get a porter and pour coffee in it? And he laughed like, you know, come on. But obviously, I'm not going to really do that. If I can't get the style, I'm not showing up. I might make comments on the video like, oh, I've had those beers. You know, I'll name the ones that they're showing that I've had, something like that. But I don't show up to themed hangouts and I don't have the theme. I just don't do it. I'm sorry. I cannot do it. I'd be too ashamed. All right. Do I feel bad when I can't join Multi Monday? Well, yeah, I feel bad because I want to participate. But there's been a number of times I couldn't find a product. So guess what? I didn't participate. You know, no big deal. I don't have to be part of it. I like to be part of it. Enough for ranting and raving about that. Do some oh, I don't want to be a jerk and kick him off, but I should have. No, it's actually not being a jerk. It'd be like if you had a party. Let's say you had a party at your house and it was a football jersey theme party. Like everybody wears a different football jersey for the team they like. But then somebody shows up with a basketball jersey and you say, well, why you got a basketball jersey? Well, I didn't feel like buying a football jersey, so this is fine. Well, no, it's not fine because that's not the theme, you know? Or you have a barbecue party where everybody brings a barbecue dish and somebody shows up with fried catfish and shrimp. No, it's not acceptable. It's not following the program. And the person that doesn't follow the program is being the jerk, not the person that says you can't come in. You know, they might say Bumpy's being a jerk because he follows a strict guideline for his hangouts, but he's not a jerk. He's right. When we do the theme the first Wednesday of the month, like we did holiday beers, that's it. You had to have holiday beers or you weren't coming on. Ain't nobody showed up without a holiday beer because they knew they weren't going to be. I was going to put them out the hangout, not to be ugly, but they weren't going to be in the hangout. As simple as that. And that's just as cut and dry as it can be. You know, I'm not here to placate people if they want to cry and whine and then stalk off angry. I'm sorry. Like last night, one of the guys, I guess he got angry because I skipped over him on accident, obviously on accident. And then when I went to show his beer, he was gone. And then he made a comment, which he deleted later. All I want to know is why you skipped me. It's like, what? What is this? You know? I don't play scared on these hangouts. Maybe years ago when, you know, you don't want to upset people and you like bend over backwards to not upset people. But those days are over. You know, you got to man up. It's not this is not baby cry. I've been saying that for at least 3 years. This is not baby cry. You want to do the beer reviews, you want to do the hangouts, fine. And that's it. If it's baby cry, you need to get a towel and cry in it. Now, I'm sorry, it sounds rough. I had talked to James P. Madonna in the past about that. I said, look, he was saying, your hangouts are boring because it's just people talking about beer. Everybody takes a turn describing a beer and go into detail, and that's dull. You need more pizzazz. He said, you want it to just be dull? I said, yes, because to us, it's not dull. We like talking about beers and giving an intricate rundown of it. It doesn't have any pizzazz, and I agree. I said, but it ain't going to change, okay? It will not change. And he said, well, your channel's not going to take off and be big time. I said, I don't care if it takes off and is big time. And I told him, I said, I agree. I'm satisfied for it to be small time. I don't care. I said, you can either join and follow the protocol or not join. Either way, I won't be angry and it won't be hard feelings. Well, he decided he wanted to join. So now he's been joining and following the protocol. And I told him, you could bring beer, wine, or liquor. I don't care. He's brought liquor and beer, and it works out well. Chatty-O brought a liqueur last night. Very nice. Total Wine has most of the beers I do. Oh, yeah, they have a big collection, but you got to watch them because they're like a lot of other stores. They have bad dates. Oh, yes. This is twice now. I've checked the dates, and they were expired. Do I like the Bud Light Mango Chelada? Yes. You don't want to show up to a onesie party wearing regular old pajamas. Right. That's exactly right. Dark Lotus said, morning, Ron. I watched a couple of ads for you. What did they give you for it? Where you get more? I can't control those, you know. From what I've been reading, they're now monetizing every channel. You could have 10 subscribers and they're going to run ads. Of course, they're going to get all the money for it. And their attitude is, if you don't like it, don't get on the video. You know, don't use our service. Go to some other tube, you know, go to small time tube or whatever. So you're kind of like working at the will of the person doing the service, right? They go run whatever ads they want to run. You know, what we're going to do about that? Just quit, I guess. We could just quit and go back to doing written reviews, which is so boring. You know, I used to read written reviews back in 2008, 2009, and they're interesting. You know, you read them for the last few weeks, but then you get tired of it. And that's why I was glad to find beer reviews on YouTube. I didn't realize they had beer reviews on YouTube 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I found out they did in the summer of 2010. So I started doing my own. Ron is Ron. Love him or leave him. I love him. Thank you, Beer Hound. Do I get anything for it? Oh, yes. Okay. But remember, they came to me. I didn't come to them asking. They came to me, say, you want? I mean, if somebody comes to you and says, you want some money, you're going to say, yeah. What do I got to do for it? Nothing. Oh, okay. You would probably like the local breweries in Washington State, Bellingham. I probably would. Okay, time for the taste challenge. Enough commiserating, enough talking. All you want to do is talk. All right. This smells very standard, a little sweet and sugary. All right, like whiskey is. To me, whiskey tastes like candy, all right? Like corn syrup candy. You say, well, that's what it is, but it's 40% alcohol. Exactly. But this one does not have the almond notes. Now let's go over here. Honestly, this one doesn't really either. They smell very similar. Candy corn. You can smell the booze. After all, 40% of the volume is pure alcohol. I mean, you know, it's no joke. I don't know how people can drink whiskey all day long. So, all right. Aroma. Okay, appearance, one's dark, one's light. So there's no comparison there. That's all contrast. Aroma is a lot of comparison because they smell, well, kind of like the same. Now, what about flavor? It's not going to be the same. I'm telling you now. The James Foxe going to have that John and Neely described almond extract thing, which he doesn't like. But he might get used to it. I hope he does, because he's got a whole jug bottle of Caliber coming his way, which he would have had already if I wouldn't have stupidly forgot to put it in a truck. Boy, I was so angry when I saw that. Of course, I wasn't going to drive 7 hours back to get it, but I was disgusted. I think by the time he finished that jug bottle, he'd either want to puke every time he drank it, or he'd say, you know, I kind of got used to this. I don't think there'd be a middle ground, though. He'd either get used to it or you hate it. All right. I'm pretty sure that's the Seagrams. You say, why? You know why? Because it tastes like Crown Royal. Which makes sense, because, you know, who started Crown Royal in 1939? Seagrams. Who started Canadian Hunter in 1984? Seagrams. Did they try to make it taste kind of like Seagram's VO and Crown Royal? I think they did. And I don't find Seagram's VO and Crown Royal taste that different one from another. You want to be techno. But I don't have enough, you know, ability to really detail and break down those kind of differentiations if they're that close. I mean, if there's a wild variation, I could break it down. But if it's something like Seagram's VO and Crown Royal, it's really tough. I can't do it. I don't have enough ability. Because to me, they taste the same. I just get VO because it's cheaper. Okay. Simple enough. It's the James Foxe. Now, did they change James Foxe after Sazerac bought it? I'm assuming they did. You know why? Because Sazerac whiskeys all have that house style. They're now I don't think they're gonna mess with VO. You see, because Seagram's VO got too much of a history since 1911, or they say 1913, but I think it was 11. But anyway, It's too famous, you know. It's too famous around the world. Seagram's VO is too venerable, let's say. So they can't afford to mess with the recipe. But I mean, you know, James Foxe, you say, well, it's been on the market 45 years. Yeah, but it's not venerable. Nobody cares about James Foxe. They put it out on the market in 1975 with a bunch of panache, you know, a bunch of flash. Chicas, champagne flash. But it didn't catch on. So 14 years later, they sold it with no flash. But that was a very bad sign for Seagram's company, you see. Even the newspaper article I read was like, why are they selling all these brands to Sazerac? Sazerac was like a minnow, you know, like a minnow compared to the whale. Seagram's was the whale of liquor. So why would the whale sell a huge chunk of their portfolio to this nothing company that nobody heard of? You know why? Because like the girl said in Godfather Part 2, because I need money. And they must have needed some cash flow. I mean, they were shedding assets like a dog sheds hair. They sold off DuPont, of all things. Their most lucrative asset, they sold it. That's when they tanked, because their investors lost all confidence in the company. It's like, why would you sell off DuPont? And Seagram's was like, we don't know. We don't even know what we're doing. You know, we're the biggest liquor company in the world, and we buying amusement parks and magazine companies. We're all over the map. Total incoherent business model. And so in the year 2000, he went out of business and sold everything. True story. And like it collapsed in, like, from what I can understand, within just in weeks. It ain't like it collapsed and it was a long drawn out thing. They just said, hey, y'all want to buy everything? And Pernod Ricard and Guinness, which is Diageo, Guinness came up and said, yeah. And they picked it apart at cheap prices. No. That's one of the most astounding stories, because it's like the biggest liquor company in history, literally the biggest whiskey spirits company in the history of the world, went out of business within a matter of days. People call it the implosion. You say, well, they still make Seagram's. I see it all around. Seagram's ginger ale, Seagram's gin. Oh, yeah, they got it around, but it's not a company. It's just a brand name, you see. It's like Schlitz. It's a brand name, but it ain't a real company, because the company went out of business in the year 1982. You can't say they went out of business, you understand? They sold out to another company, absorbed by another company. Like Seagram's, they were absorbed by other companies. All their assets were absorbed. It's not like they shut down and everybody lost their job. They just, well, all of a sudden working for somebody else in a flash overnight. Well, which one tastes better here? It's hard to say. If you like a more traditional, standard, straightforward whiskey, smooth, mellow, mild, simple. I don't mean a simpleton, just simple. Along the lines of a VO, or Crown Royal type situation, get the Seagram's Canadian Hunter. But of course, you can't get it in a practical sense, since it hasn't been produced since 1989, although I got a bottle. If you want something with a little more what we would call exotic flavor, because, you know, you say almonds, I don't really think of almonds when I drink whiskey. I think of maybe vanilla, you know, vanilla from the oak, but almonds are a little strange. But you can get used to it. It's kind of like a candy, a dessert thing. Then go with the James Foxe. And it's cheap, yeah. All right, so I'm going to call it a tie. Neither side wins. It's kind of like a washout, because it's a personal preference issue. The quality's there. It's not a quality problem. Sazerac, they take their Canadian whiskeys very seriously, and they're cheap, you know, but they not all cheap, because they got Caribou Crossing, which is about $70 a bottle. But they you know what I'm saying? they try to keep a quality control on it. And I've noticed that. I've never tasted one that tasted off. You know what I'm saying? Like unusual as per the house style. So yeah, they have very good down pat on that situation. And but I do know one from the other, and the one in my left hand is the Seagrams because it's going to be pale. Watch. Yep, I knew it. I don't even need tags. Look at that straw. And this one is amber. Now we're going to look at the comments as we close out. I went to school in Cedro Woolley. I'm trying to be productive. That's why I'm watching. Good, Gary. Good, Gary. Gary makes interesting comments. Okay, hard liquor makes a good nightcap, says Beerhound. Yeah, or in my case, a Dawn Busters. Oh, there's daylight coming, you little daylight. Crown is so smooth. It's so smooth, yeah. A lot of people loves Crown Royal. I see so many people's coming into the store buying Crown Royal. I want to buy some Crown. Or they buy Hennessy. Ain't nothing wrong with that because, you know, Crown Royal is nice. It's bland, you know, but it's nice. Hennessy is kind of bland, you know, but it's nice too. Now, if you want to step up in the Hennessy world, get the privilege, the VSOP privilege. It's a lot more elaborate. You say, yeah, and it's a lot more expensive, naturally. Or get the black, the Hennessy black. It's more elaborate also. It's more complex. You say, yeah, but it's more expensive. Common sense will tell you that. Do I see most people buying Hennessy black or Hennessy privilege? No. Just about everybody you see buying Hennessy is buying Hennessy VS, the base model. Why is that? Because they like it, obviously. What about Crown Royal? You know, it's 90% Crown. They're buying Crown. Do they buy the apple? Yeah. Do they buy the peach? Yes. Do they buy the what? All these other flavors? Of course they do. Did they buy the black? Yeah, here and there. You see a few people buying Crown Royal black. And then the real expensive models, the XL, the XO, and all of that. Sure, but it's very few people buying that, you see. I saw the non-Seagram's Canadian Hunter, okay, and the rye in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It's cheap, and I'm going to grab a bottle next time I'm up there. Says Johnny Tactical. Yeah, I would recommend the Hunter Rye, especially the 90 proof Hunter Rye. Has a lot of enjoyable qualities, but the Canadian Hunter's fine. We'll say fine. Here's Johnny Neely's comment. I'm sorry I skipped over it. I don't hate the almond extract flavors in Canadian whiskey, but I don't love them. The Canadian Club Classic 12 is a standard that I judge other Canadian whiskeys by, and it certainly doesn't have that almond extract. Right, yeah. Canadian Club Classic 12 has never lost a taste challenge except one time, and I can't remember who it lost to, and I was shocked to death, you know. Well, not to death because I'm still on air, but you know what I'm saying, figuratively. But you're right. Classic 12 does not have that quality. Classic 12 tastes like doggone bourbon almost. Oh, I know what it lost to. Crown Royal Bourbon Mash. And they were being sneaky. Yeah, they said, oh, this is not a bourbon. What are you trying to say? It's not a bourbon. But they were forced to change the name to Blender's Mash. Yeah, no, it's not a bourbon because it can't be technically because of the law. But you go, just go taste Crown Royal Bourbon Mash, Blender's Mash. You know what they're doing with it. It tastes like bourbon. If you gave that beer, you heard that? If you gave that whiskey to anybody in the world, blind, and they didn't know what it was, first thing they would say is, oh, what bourbon is this? That's what they're going to say. What kind of bourbon is this? They're not going to ask you what kind of Canadian blended whiskey it is. You know that. I know that. The American people know that. And I went to David's house Saturday. I said, oh. He gave me some tamales too, by the way, and they were very good. But that's just a side note. I went over to his house. I said, well, what is this? He has bourbon mash, and I could see it was a new bottle. I said, this looks like a new bottle of bourbon mash. You told me you didn't think it was that good. He said, well, I was at a store and I bought it. And I was like, well, I could see that some of it has been consumed already. I said, got him. Got him. Talking about how it ain't that good, but he bought a bottle. I said, yeah, it ain't that good, but you bought a bottle. Okay. Mm-hmm. He didn't have nothing to say. I said, no, you're not got nothing to say. I was glad, though. I said, even he came around to it. Ha, 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 ha. Anyway, are all dark beers heavy-bodied? No. No, if you buy Guinness Draft, it's light-bodied, but it's dark. Gary says, really good thoughts. In the 70s, Crown, Canadian Club, Cuddy Sark, Seagrams were big. The evolution of taste or marketing. Yeah, more like marketing. You know what I'm saying? It's more like marketing. Because I've tasted some of these highfalutin whiskeys, and they're fine. I mean, I like them. They're great. But are they really that much better than Cuddy Sark or Seagram's VO or even Seagram 7 Crown or Canadian Club? In your mind, you're going to say, yeah, they're better because you want to justify paying $80 a bottle. But in your heart of hearts, you're thinking to yourself, it ain't really that better. But you don't want to say it, you know, because you don't want people to tease you, you know. You don't want to be like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer getting ridiculed. And I was listening to somebody at the store was making me laugh yesterday because the comments he was making about that song. Why did they change the formula Schlitz? Oh, well, in that case, that's a long story. We can't go into it, but it's just a matter of gross mismanagement, you know. Stroh's, well, they got rid of Fire Brewing about 1995, 6, 7, 1997 due to cost problems. Couldn't control. The company was dying, really, is what happened. But I've got an old brochure that Stroh's sent me, and it still talked about Fire Brewing. But it couldn't. Stroh's all blue packaging, yeah. Yeah, that Crown Royal Bird Mash is good stuff, says John and Illy. No joke. And I got me a big bottle, and I'm so delighted. Craft Beer Tastic says, if a consumer needs their whiskey all flavored up, then why even drink whiskey? Suck it up and drink it straight. Let me explain that to you, Craft Beer Tastic. It ain't about the taste. It's about the 80 proof. You get it? Or in the case of flavored whiskey, 70 proof. That's why they drink it, because they want the 70 proof. They don't want the whiskey taste. They want to taste peaches. They want to taste candy cane. They want to taste cinnamon. They want to taste apple. They want to taste, like the one we did, maple syrup, anything. But they don't want to taste whiskey. Is that really a sin? Is that like Iggy Pop said, some big sin in 1977? No, it's just what they want to drink. I wouldn't want to drink it, you know, but that's what they want. They want to drink Tabasco sauce and oh, there's so many. I see them. Oh, think about this: Burnett's vodka. They got every kind of flavor you could think of, and they're in big bottles too, $5.99. I see these people with Burnett's this, Burnett's that. They're buying it all day long. Cotton candy. Who knows what flavors they're going to come out with? Tomato paste, ribeyes, onion powder. Who knows? Garlic powder, okra. I don't know, but people buy it like mad. Would I buy it? Of course, I'm not going to buy it, but they buy it and they love it. So they want the alcohol is what they want. You know, it's like a pre-mixed drink. It's all about that. And they take ice and put it in, you know. Beer Hound said, when I hear people complain about insomnia, I think they're insane. When you can drink whiskey, some doctors claim whiskey causes insomnia. My friend Dave is constantly bothering me with that, talking about the reason you can't sleep is because you drink whiskey. I said, no, the reason I can't sleep is because you called me and woke me up. And he'll say, well, you go to sleep too early. I say, you know how when you grow up and you don't live at home anymore, you could kind of go to sleep when you want to go to sleep? That's the whole point of growing up and moving out into your own house. Because you could go to sleep when you want, right? So if it gets dark and it's 6:45 p.m. and I go to sleep, seems to me that's what I want to do. I should be able to do it. Now, yeah, if I'm up at 1:45 a.m. and I'm on the internet at 2:05, that's kind of strange, you know, but I don't mind because I want to do it. You dig? Like I was on a hangout yesterday with some people at like 2 in the morning. I don't know why I have to answer for that. And I kept telling you, why do I have to answer for that, you know? I have a friend named Tom. He used to go to sleep at 3 in the morning. He would stay up and he'd go to sleep at 3 in the morning. Of course, he wouldn't wake up till 11 a.m. Guess how many times I told him he shouldn't do that? You got it right. 0 times. I didn't care what he did. Cake flavor vodka, gross. Oh, they got it all. Birthday cake. Yeah, right. Burnett's birthday cake. Oh, sleep facts. Ron, spot on. I sleep 7 hours a night. You know, I'm sleeping good. I was sleeping good last night. I mean, sleeping well. You know what I'm saying? Then at 2:45, I got up. Then I posted a video. I started uploading a video. I posted, what was that I posted? Something. Oh, the eggnog, Winter Haven Farms eggnog, which tasted suspiciously identical to Pennsylvania Dutch, which makes sense because it's from the same company. You know, but I don't understand this whole mindset where people got to do what you want them to do. I don't care what other people do. You say, well, I know a guy that eats ravioli every day, and it bothers me. Why would you care if somebody eats ravioli every day? Let them eat the ravioli. Why are you worrying about this? Alex Serrano says 7 hours is cool. I slept 6 hours. See? Eggnog, where, what, when? I just posted it. It's called Winter Haven Farms, and I put the cinnamon. Oh, that was good. I finished it off. Oh, baby. Okay. Standard. If you ask me, what does Seagram's Canadian Hunter taste like? I'm gonna tell you right here on the internet. It tastes like standard whiskey. I mean standard. Jack Daniels, well, no, because Jack Daniels had that strong cornbread taste and that charred oak, but really cornbread. No, it tastes like standard Canadian whiskey. You know how those taste. They're like thin flavor, like a very mild. Some people would say bland. Okay, bland. You know, think along the lines of Canadian Crown Royal or Seagram's VO. James Foxe. I love the label. Yeah, it's just if you have experience with Sazerac brands, you'll know what I mean. Almonds. If you've never tasted a Sazerac Canadian whiskey, you're not going to be able to relate to it. It's going to taste like you're going to say, I don't know. So I cannot describe it. It'd be like trying to describe colors to a blind person who's never seen anything in their life. So, well, you could just go to the store and buy a Sazerac. Don't buy VO because that's going to be made traditionally. And don't buy Rich and Rare Reserve because they're trying to mimic Crown Royal, I think. A lot of people say it's better than Crown Royal, Rich and Rare Reserve. But any of the other Sazerac whiskeys, you know what I mean? Not like Caribou Crossing, but then you're not going to go experiment with a $70 bottle. Just any of those things. John and Neely knows what I'm talking about. Canadian Leaf, James Foxe. What's another common? Caliber, Walmart, or other stores, actually. Just their common stuff. It all tastes kind of the same. Honestly, a good, but not exactly the same. Blind taste tests have proven that. They're similar, but they're not the same. Honestly, a good double India Pale Ale will put me to sleep at night. Oh, yeah, me too, except I got to get up in an hour and a half and go to the bathroom. You know what I mean? It goes right through you. Diuretic. I like Kessler. Oh, yes. That's a very good American blended whiskey. Probably the second best after Seagram's 7 Crown. Geary says, I prefer sour mash too. I'm going to go back to a shot in my beer. It used to be my drink of choice. Oh, Boilermaker. My friend David has a tendency to do that. We doing stouts. He'll say, I'm going to add tequila. I'm going to add whiskey. I say, oh, well, David, I got to drive back. I'm not, you know. Oh, my gosh, I need eggnogs, says Beer Hounds. Oh, my gosh, I need eggnogs. I was so shocked yesterday because I was asking a friend. I said, you remember that show with Mr. Rush? And he had his 2 daughters living in the other apartment and then Monroe living in the other one, Monroe. He's like, I never heard of that. I was like, what are you talking about? You never heard of Too Close for Comfort? He had me just stunned. And this is a guy that's addicted to television. You know Kessler? Julius Kessler. 72.5% grain spirits and 27.5% pure straight bourbon, almost assuredly on Jim Beam. All right, well, this video is going on too long, but you know, it's interesting. It was a good video because we had a lot of people talking, a lot of comments, a lot of viewers, and the two whiskeys were pretty fascinating, actually. Kessler was big in the 70s also. While I was so little, the only thing I was interested in the 70s was Star Wars, Godzilla, and Land of the Lost. Oh, and Shazam.